Hi everybody! Yesterday we started talking about mental practicing and I asked you to just practice the skill of imagining aspects of playing. Today I want to talk about how I actually use this on a day-to-day basis in my practicing. I am constantly going back and forth between playing something and imagining it in my practicing. When I imagine it, I am trying to imagine myself playing it the way that I want to, so I can hear it sounding how I want and I can feel it sounding how I want. Often, just like when I play my viola, I make mistakes in my head, and then I try to do the same problem-solving strategies that I use on my viola to solve the problem in my head. So, for instance, if I'm missing a shift, I will think in my head, okay, can I hear the pitch I'm shifting to? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I need to imagine hearing the pitch. If the answer is yes, I ask myself, okay, can I feel where I'm going on the fingerboard? Can I imagine that physical placement on the instrument? If the answer is no, then I have to imagine that physical placement. If the answer is yes, then I have to ask myself, okay, can I feel myself going from one note to the other note? Like, is the traveling clear? And I keep asking myself those questions until I find something that the answer is no to, and then I have to imagine that clearly. I have to try to, okay, I really need to imagine where I'm going with this shift, and I can really feel the placement on the fingerboard. I can feel the travel that I need to do. I can feel what my elbow has to do to get this shift successfully. Once I can imagine it the way I want in my head, then I'm ready to try it on my viola and see if it matches. But when I mental practice, I use the same practice strategies as when I'm playing on my viola. They're just inside my head, done silently. So in the video where I'm demonstrating this, obviously you can't read my mind, so I'm going to narrate out loud what I'm imagining, and hopefully that will help clarify how I'm doing this. Okay, in this video, I'm going to show how I use mental practice and alternate mental practice and physical practice. Obviously you can't read my mind, so I'm going to verbalize what I'm doing with mental practice. Normally, I would start with mental practice. I would imagine what I'm trying to do first, but I'm going to play it for you so you can at least hear what's going on in my head. So this is a passage in one of the sonatas I'm working back up for my concerts I've talked about that are at the beginning of October. And it's something I've noticed, it's just a little out of tune now. The finger placement has always been a little awkward, and it's just not totally clean. So let me play it once so that you can hear it, and then I'll show how I'm going to work on it. I'm going to play it under tempo so that I can hopefully play it in tune. So there's the passage. So what I'm going to start with in my head is just that beginning. That fourth finger is often sharp, as it just was. And that G sharp is also often sharp. So what I'm going to do in my head is first I'm going to try to hear it in tune. And I find for this passage it's really helpful to think in solfege, so is so fa mi. So that's what I'm also singing in my head. I'm singing in the pitch, but I'm singing the solfege. Okay, that's clear. So now I want to see if I can imagine where that fourth finger goes down in relation to my 2 that comes right before it. And I'm doing it in my head a couple times, like I'm doing repetitions in my head, just like I do out loud. And I'm stopping on that fourth finger. Okay, the fourth finger feels clear. So now I'm going to try it out on my viola to see if what I do in real life matches what's in my head, because in my head it's clear where that fourth finger goes. It feels a lot clearer on the viola now. So in my head, I'm going to add the 2 notes that come after with physical placement. Okay, I can feel those clearly. So I'm going to do repetitions on that. Okay, and now I'm going to do it for real. That feels a lot clearer on the viola, and it felt a lot easier to play in tune, especially knowing where that fourth finger is. So the next measure feels kind of fine. I'm going to skip a few measures to the next part that I noticed feels really weird. So it's the part, yeah, right. that place, that little chromatic thing at the end is always a little funny. So again, I'm going to start by making sure I can hear it. Yes, okay, clear. The first finger that feels strange is, again, the fourth finger, surprise, surprise. So I'm going to stop on that again in my head. Okay, it's not totally clear actually in my head where that fourth finger goes. That one. Okay, so what I'm doing in my head is I'm really concentrating on feeling where that fourth finger goes, trying to clarify it. Okay, now it's clear, so now I'm going to try. That was not in tune. Okay, so I need to clarify that. Okay. Fourth finger feels a lot better. So now, do that in my head. Okay, that's very clear in my head. So this is how I go back and forth with mental practice and physical practice. I make sure I can hear it. I make sure I can feel it. I do repetitions in my head just like I do like in real life out on my viola. And then once it's clear in my head and secure in my head, then I try it on my instrument. Hopefully you could see that it was more secure after I mental practiced it. I certainly could feel it. Once, just like with normal practicing on my viola, like once all my spots are clear, then I would put them together piece by piece. In my head first and then out on the viola. So hopefully that demonstration of how I use mental practice is helpful. I'm always going back and forth like this, mental practice, viola, and also recording, which I didn't do today, but I've done in some of my other videos.